I cast the hexagram at 1750 on September 12, 2025, obtaining the Li Palace, heaven over water, song, contention, wandering spirit, changing to the Gen Palace, heaven over lake, Lu, treading. The primary hexagram belongs to the Li Palace. The divination question was, how can Putin end the Russia-Ukraine war with dignity? The reading is as follows: 6 Yao concise chart, Los Angeles time zone. Gregorian date, 2025-09-12-1750. America, Los Angeles, heavenly stems and earthly branches. Year, month, day, hour. Yi si year, Yi yu month, Jeshen day, Gi yu hour. Void, Zhengkong. Wu Wei primary hexagram. Heaven over water, song, Li Palace, wandering spirit. Relating hexagram, heaven over lake, Lu, Gen Palace. As specified, in the primary hexagram, the self line is on the 4th line and the other line on the 1st. In the relating hexagram, the self is on the 5th, the other on the 2nd. The moving line is the first bottom line. 6 spirits, ordered on a Jia day, start from the bottom with Azure Dragon. 1. Azure Dragon. 2. Vermilion Bird. 3. Gao Chen. 4. Flying Serpent. 5. White Tiger. 6. Black Tortoise. 6 line positions. Compact form. Dam Yang. Yin. First line. Other. Moving. Azure Dragon. 2nd line. Vermilion Bird. 3rd line. Gu Chen. 4th line. Self. Flying Serpent. 5th line. White Tiger. Top line. Black Tortoise. With the first line moving, the lower trigram, Kan Atsan, changes to Dui, thus forming heaven over lake Lu. This matches the shift in positions from self at 4th, other at 1st, to self at 5th, other at 2nd. Key ideas of the hexagrams. Song, contention. There is dispute and litigation, not favorable to ford the great river. Appeal to the great person and end the contention. Resolve through reason. Be cautious in warfare and lawsuits. Elu, treading. Treading on the tiger's tail, seeking smooth passage amid danger. Stresses observing propriety and proceeding step by step to achieve no blame, merit. Often rendered as advance with caution, proceed carefully. Answer from the hexagram to the question, how can Putin end with dignity the Russia-Ukraine war? Core conclusion, per the hexagrams. Shift from song, end the dispute by seeking judgment, to Lu, cautious, step-by-step execution. A dignified wrap-up is not about proclaiming a decisive victory, but about 3 things: judgment, cessation, and phased. Implementation. First, settle the judgment, framework and boundaries, then cease, a verifiable ceasefire and de-escalation, and finally, phase in, a reversible ladder across security, economic, political, legal domains. The activation of the first line indicates starting from front line or technical arrangements. The self-line rising from the 4th to the 5th suggests that top-level endorsement is necessary to preserve face and control. Below is a 7-step dignified plan executable in practice, each aligned with the hexagrams and real-world constraints. End the dispute by seeking a judgment. Outsource the sense of verdict to a third party. The advantage in song lies in appealing to a great person and seeking adjudication, not in endless entanglement. Have a third party, joint, mediators, verification mechanism, issue a 3-in-1 text covering ceasefire, security, humanitarian, terms that can be presented domestically as a fair ruling. The text deliberately avoids the language of win-lose and emphasizes structural arrangements to prevent NATO's eastward expansion and the institutionalized response to Russia's security concerns. Reference standard practice in ceasefire security arrangements, separation lines, freeze on troop increases, inspections, hotlines, and violation handling procedures. Treading on the tiger's tail, a sectoral ceasefire that moves from easier to harder. From external to internal, first line moving. Start with frontline sectors easiest to verify. Nighttime no-fire windows, counter-battery radar quiet periods, air route white-black lists, a humanitarian corridor, and a regular weekly cadence of POW body exchanges. Use not touching the core disputes but visibly reducing losses to create a domestic perception of being in control. This fits Liu's small, cautious steps, security for face. Turn the NATO issue into a periodically reviewed security guarantee. Replace permanent commitments with phased, reversible security arrangements such as caps on deployments for a set number of years, missile UAV exclusion zones, and quotas for foreign training activities, together with annual compliance reviews and rollback triggers. The external narrative can be shaped as Russia compelled the other side to accept a new security order. The policy discussion that even with a ceasefire, re-attack capacity should be curbed while Ukraine's defense is strengthened can be translated into reciprocal limits in the text to signal fairness. The economics of face. Quid pro quo sanction relief and a share in post-war reconstruction bind each step of military de-escalation to a commensurate step of sanction relief, step for step, rather than one-off removal, and reserve limited but visible reconstruction lots for Russian firms, energy grain corridors, nuclear maintenance, fertilizers, etc., creating a triple linkage of economic gains, livelihood improvement, victory narrative to stabilize domestic expectations. Ongoing European debates on additional sanctions and leverage provide the bargaining chips and pacing for a de-escalate to relieve sequence. Managing legal posture. Ambiguous sovereignty language plus deferred dispute mechanism. For the hardest questions of territory sovereignty, adopt no prejudgment. Handle later. Keep respective positions on record and substitute immediate settlement with a long observation period, plus protection of residents' rights. So long-term review to consultative mechanism. Move post-war legality backstage and make concrete rights, human rights, property rights, and cross-line passage, the actionable form of dignity. There is already discussion and precedent for ceasefire without recognition. Self-line rises to the fifth. Leader-level personal signature plus narrative control, defining the end as mission accomplished. In the relating hexagram, the self occupies the fifth line, the ruler's seat. Top-level announcement of a mission-accomplished triad is needed. 1. Institutionalized arrangements to prevent NATO's eastward expansion are in the text. 2. Binding clauses for the safety and cross-line passage of Russian-speaking residents. 3. Defense modernization has met its phase targets, reframing the war as the completion of military reform and defense industrial upgrades. The external message stresses a prudent, rational, and responsible great power wrap-up, resonating with Liu's restraint and propriety. Guardrails against reignition, a compound network of joint monitoring plus hotlines. The battlefield remains high pressure, e.g., recurring airstrike air defense flare-ups. Without robust monitoring, there is no dignified end. Establish multi-channel hotlines, military border power grid grain shipping, and third-party monitoring teams. Set advance notification and buffer zones for high-risk actions, UAVs, missiles, exercises. Violations should automatically freeze the corresponding step of sanction relief, reversible. This accords with Liu's prudence and addresses current flashpoints. Why do the hexagrams point to a path of end the dispute, proceed prudently, implement in stages? Song emphasizes that dispute is harmful and should be ended through reason, and it is unfavorable to rashly ford the great river. The optimal solution is to appeal to a higher authority and end the contention. That is, bring in a higher level or neutral adjudication and conclude by reason rather than expand by force. Liu centers on careful footing and precedence of propriety. Don't overstep or grandstand. Cross the dangerous bridge via procedure protocol, naturally aligning with a phased, verifiable, and reversible ceasefire and political arrangement. The first line moving indicates starting from ground level frontline details, exchanges, humanitarian steps, no-fire windows. The self rising from the fourth to the fifth shows the need for top-level framing and endorsement. Wandering spirit signals back and forth oscillation, so every step must be made verifiable and reversible to prevent reignition. The essence of dignity. Embed, ending the war, into procedure. Let the domestic audience see that red-line security has been institutionalized. The economy is recovering, there is an international umpire, and the opponent is constrained. Let the opponent and mediators see that you are willing to proceed by procedure. This accords with the song. Trajectory and fits the present window in battlefield and diplomatic realities.